Hello, one and all, and welcome to Two Pigs in a Pod, a brand new podcast brought to you by the People in Glazing Society. For those not aware what the People in Glazing Society, or PiGs is for short, it was a networking event set up in 2004 and held all around the UK and even in the US to bring members of the glazing and fenestration industry together to talk, socialise and really enjoy what this sector has to offer. My name is George Lewis and I'll be your host today. The glazing sector is an abundance of stories, characters and opinions, and each episode will aim to share some of these stories with people from throughout the supply chain, whilst also talking about the important topics that the industry is seeing day in, day out, and what is the future looks like for the sector. My guest today is Sarah Ball.
Hello.
Nice to see you. And yeah, so we'll kick it off by saying that I'm sure there's not going to be many people that not know who you are, but can you tell us who you are and what you do within our industry?
Absolutely. My name's Sarah Ball. I'm Joint Managing Director of Balls2 Marketing, that's a specialist marketing agency in the glazing sector. Plus, for my sins, I am the chief pig at People in Glazing Society, and I've been organising the events for 10 years now.
Yeah. So going back to how did you get into the glazing sector in the first place? Is as we've seen before, it's not always something that people try and get into. So what was your journey into it?
A very long one. Basically, at 19, I got into home improvement sales. And through that, I have done some window and conservatory sales in the very old days. And I ran a business with my ex-husband. And then when I was 40, I switched and worked in the marketing sector, and I worked at Michael Rigby Associates, where they had obviously a real focus on glazing. And today I run Balls2 Marketing, so yes.
What was your opinion when you first got into the glazing sector? What was it like then, and how did you think of it from before you came into it, and then once you was at Mike Rigby Associates?
Well, my first foray into it was definitely in that white gold, like the archetypal, people earning shed loads of money. But that wasn't the case for everybody, and you could see that there were people who were just in it for the long haul, even at that point. So yeah, I think when I got to Michael Rigby Associates, it was different again, because we were obviously looking at the top echelon of businesses that were looking at promoting themselves. So yeah. I've seen that. I've seen real changes in the industry over a long period of time, but yeah. I've been very fortunate to work with some very, very good and interesting companies. So, okay. Yeah.
And obviously you decided to then set up on your own and set up Balls2 Marketing. What was the reason behind that? Why did you think that it was the right time to go it alone and sort of stay in the glazing industry?
I suppose because Andy, my business partner and husband, and I have complementary skills within marketing and sales. And it just seemed... I think we'd always made up our minds that we were going to do it. It just came a few years earlier than we anticipated. But yeah, it was always part of the master plan.
Yeah.
It's nice when one of those goes ahead.
Well, yeah, exactly. And obviously you said alongside, I don't know how you do it, but alongside Balls2 Marketing, you're also the head of the PiGs Society. So can you explain what you do on that and what PiGs is?
Yeah, so I first started going to PiGs when it first set out. So it was set up in 2004. So that's 20 years ago now. And it was just a press in glazing. So it was basically for PRs and marketing professionals to come together with editors, and they would have smallish do's, smallish events, and they were often in the upstairs room of a pub or somewhere like that. And then around Glasex, which you won't remember, but the predecessor to Fit Show, they would do big events, and they would have 50 to 90 people there or whatever, and these were always the ones that were more exciting. And then Claire, who was doing most of the organisation, she did a huge one at where we took a Thames boat trip, and I think that was the very best one that had ever been. And then Balls2 Marketing was organising or part of the organisation team for the triple glazing question the first time round. And I spoke to Claire and asked her if we could run a PiGs afterwards to give people something to do in the evening. And they were, yeah, you know. And that was the first one I did. And then it was that bigness. I like the fact that there were more than 100 people going to them. And those are the ones that I've tried to expand. So we now do between 4 and 5 a year. We do lots of different venues. We've built them so that they're very popular. Yes. So that's what I do as a side.
Side hustle.
Yeah.
Like, what made PiGs stand out to you first of all, that you wanted to actually, when the opportunity became available to take it on yourself? What was it that you actually thought, I can make this work and take it to even greater heights?
I think I didn't ever think I was going to take it to greater heights. That happened with the willingness of the industry.
Yeah.
But the reason I wanted to do it was because I've got so many friends in the industry, and we get together intermittently at award ceremonies and race days and, you know, different things, but you don't necessarily have a focus for it, for getting everybody together. So that was the thing I liked best.
Okay. And do you think that is important for our industry? Is that event where people can come together? We seem like a really sociable industry and actually talk to each other a lot, but do you think it's important that we carry on with that for forever in terms of the sociable side of things?
Yeah, I do. I think that we're not like any other industry. If you look at the way that the supply chain works, you've got big companies at the top, you've got components, and then it sort of trickles down. You've got some really superb national and regional companies, and then you've got a lot of windows actually and doors being installed by very local companies. And because of that, the installers don't necessarily have their own voice, or they don't have an outlet for that voice. And because PiGs covers the whole of the supply chain, we're in a position where we can attract local people. So when we do one in Bristol, we're picking up people who have very local businesses. And that gives the bigger companies great insight into what's going on in the field. And it gives a voice to the industry.
Yeah.
But we've never done anything formal like this before. And that's what's exciting me most, is that we can actually build on the things that we've done. We've got these fabulous relationships with people, and now how do we build on that?
Yeah. So obviously you're in quite a unique position within our industry, that obviously you've got your own marketing company, and on the PiG side of things. So what do you think the industry looks like for us right now in your opinion?
I think that the industry has gone through masses of professionalisation, and I think because of that, we're in a very different position than we've ever been before. You can see that children and even grandchildren have taken over positions of, managerial positions, and taken over businesses, and that's really meant that there's been we're not necessarily in that all entrepreneurial stage. We're actually in the consolidation stage of businesses. So we've got that, and yet we've got a real issue with actually getting people to come into the industry, because people don't necessarily see it. Yeah. It's one of those blind industries that people stumble across. I mean, once you're in it, you're in it. I mean, you've got no choice, but you can't ever leave. Yeah. But getting into it is really, it is by luck rather than judgment, because nobody's going out there and saying, hey, we're a really good industry, come and join us.
Yeah, so how do we do that? How do we get more people wanting to be part of our industry? Because like you said, once you're in it, people tend to stay in it, but it's that initial stage of either it could be coming out of school or college or from elsewhere. Like how do we go about doing that?
Well, I think there's quite a lot of willingness to do it, and I think there's pockets of excellence within what individual companies are doing. But what I don't think is happening at the moment is that we're all talking to each other, and those companies that have got good ideas are necessarily sharing those ideas. And I think that's part of my motivation, is this next, the next step for PiGs is to actually look at, rather than it being the people in glazing, the professionalisation of glazing, and keeping that PiGs. You know, we are very sociable. We're such a kind place to work. I mean, it's a really different way of looking at things.
Yeah.
But how do we get that out to the wider world? And I think, yeah, if I can stand on a soapbox and do it, then I probably would.
Okay. And in terms of like other sectors, other parts of different industries that are actually doing a bit better than the glazing industry of getting people into it, is there any one that you've seen, any different sectors you think actually that could work for glazing, that we can, maybe companies or people within companies can look at and say that could work for us?
I think we're more aligned to people like electricians and stuff like that, and I think that the way the electricians and also plumbers have gone is that you get a qualification. So I do think that there's a room for actually having better qualifications, and maybe looking at the apprenticeship programme and stuff like that. But essentially, the whole of construction is in the same boat. Yeah. And we're all trying to attract the same people. But because there are such good career paths in glazing, you know, you can come in as an installer and you can run a company within 10 years. You could come in as a factory worker straight from school and be a factory manager within 10 years. Yeah. You can really build your own career, and there's so many opportunities at so many different levels and within so many different parts of the supply chain.
Yeah. Is that something you think PiGs can do, is promote those stories that someone has started off at the bottom, say, and they have worked their way up to managers? Is that what we can do more to actually show these stories off and say, actually, you can work your way up and have a brilliant career in this industry?
Yes, and I think sometimes those stories get missed because maybe somebody has started at one company and then they've moved to another company and then moved to another company. And then you don't get the fact that they've worked in the industry for 20 years. Yeah. You get the fact that they've worked for their last company for 7 years. And you don't hear the whole of the story. So yes, I would very much like to show those career pathways from a human perspective, because I think that that's how people will get attracted.
Yeah. And do you think there's any transferable skills that could there be a hit list of transferable skills you think that people from outside of our industry, they might say, well, I've got these skills that they could work in? What would you say those skills could be?
Well, depending on where you are in the supply chain and where you are, what you're looking at. But if you think about things like, if you've been a surveyor, you could easily come in, you know, if you've done surveying on building sites, you could easily come in and be a window and door surveyor. That would be a no-brainer. You could move from domestic into commercial. So there's lots of different places that you can do those sort of things. From a point of view of coming into the sales side of it, if you've done sales of any description, especially if you've done technical sales, then yes, because windows are very technical. You know, you don't just pick up a window from Tesco's. Yeah. You know, it's built of several different components, and then on top of that, you've got to build it to the exact measurements at the right time for the person. So, you know, these are individual components that are going into places. So anybody who's got factory management skills or factory skills, yes, but we do things almost, it's so bespoke, it's unbelievable. Yeah. But yeah, so all of those things would work, yeah.
Okay. And going back onto PiGs, and obviously you said you're celebrating 10 years of being
10 years this year,
organised. So why PiGs? Why was it a thing, and what are we doing in the future to make it even more well known in the industry?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that the industry does brilliantly. One of them is charity, and the way that companies within the glazing industry give back to charity is gobsmacking. I mean, you've got people like Gary Morton who've done it for years. He's raised millions. I mean, it's so impressive. You've got John Hewitt at Kelly's Heroes that I support. You know, we're into hundreds of thousands of pounds that we've raised, and a lot of that's been through the industry. So we want a space where we can almost celebrate that side of it.
Yeah.
So for me, the charity side is massively important. The career side is massively important. And then I think the friendship side. So in between the events, I mean, we only run 4 events a year. So if you think about it, well, what's an event? From 5 till 10-ish. So that's 5 hours. So that's 20 hours. So in less than a day, a year, we're doing all of this stuff. How do we make that more relevant to every day of people's lives?
Yeah.
We've got a nice group of people who follow us on LinkedIn and on Twitter. Sorry, X. Formerly known as Twitter, obviously, and there's a lovely Facebook group, and we've got a growing following on LinkedIn, on Instagram. So we've got all of these platforms, and actually we need to make more use of them, and also make more use of the website space, because we can put people's news up that's relevant to the people. We don't want to be putting the product stuff up, but definitely if you're doing a charity thing, or if if you've had a promotion, or if you're celebrating 10 years or whatever it is, we're interested, and other people are interested. I know that if I'm interested in something, somebody else is.
Can you believe how generous our industry is? Like they give a lot of money and a lot of time to these to you yourself and charity stuff. Like, can you actually believe that there are people out there that are willing to do it every time you need something? They're happy to step up and do it.
And it's incredible. But if you look at other industries, you don't get this. You don't get that sort of coming together of all of the people in the industry, and it's impressive. And that makes it a generous place to work.
Yeah.
Okay.
And obviously you've been in charge for 10 years of PiGs, but have been here since the start in going to them. Is there any memory or memories that stands out for you over those years that you think, I'm glad I'm actually part of this part of PiGs?
Or can I give you 2?
Of course, yeah.
So the first one was a lifelong ambition. I took the bottle of a top of a champagne bottle with a machete in Vegas.
Nice.
So the fact that I've done that, I don't ever need to do it again.
Yeah.
I was so scared, and if you ever see the video, I just look shocked. But it's one of those things. After seeing it on What Happened in Vegas, it was like, I definitely want to do that. Yeah. So doing that would be a definite. And I think that from all of the other ones that we've done, it's when you're in a room and you look round and you just think, I did this. Yeah. If it hadn't been for me, and that's a very, very personal, but if it hadn't been for me pushing and pushing and pushing, can we get the emails out? Can we get the socials out? Can we get this out? Can we get that out? It wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, starting to reap the rewards of all that hard work back then to actually get it where it is now.
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously you've hosted PiGs all over the UK. Like you say, you've taken it to Vegas and other parts of America. Where would you, in an ideal world, if you could take it anywhere in the world, where do you think you would take it?
Belfast.
Nice. Why Belfast?
Because Belfast is one of my favourite cities, and I keep being told, go really well in Belfast, and then somebody else go, no, you can't do it in Belfast. It means everybody's got to fly, and they won't come. But Belfast is a brilliant city.
Yeah.
Brilliant pubs.
Yeah.
Everything about it. Yeah.
So
PiGs in Belfast.
Yeah, sounds good. 2025.
Well, don't commit me to anything, but yeah. I would definitely like to do that. But I'm really excited about Newcastle this year.
Yeah.
I mean, we've never done one in Newcastle. We've done them in Scotland before, and they've been really successful, but we can't grow the group.
Yeah.
We can't get beyond sort of 60 people. And at 60, it's not big enough to make it really work for the industry. So we felt that if we did one that was as close to the border as we could get, but still then hopefully, so that we're really, really hoping that will bring the guys down from Scotland as well.
No, sounds good. Yeah, very much looking forward to
22nd of August, is it?
Yeah, so no, that'd be a good one.
Yeah.
And the last question in terms of pigs, if you was in my position and you was hosting this podcast, who would you have on? It doesn't have to be someone or it could be someone in the industry if you really want them, but who would be your dream guest to actually have a conversation with?
So, oh goodness, anyone in the industry? Oh, I don't. It's hard
to narrow it down to one, I guess.
It is really hard to narrow it down.
Maybe if you do one person from the industry and one person you just love to talk to for someone you always wanted to have a conversation with.
Right. So from the industry, Andrew Herring. Yeah. Adore him. Yeah, he is like...
That'll be a good conversation.
Yeah.
That could go off in a tangent quite a lot.
Love Andrew. I still have my glass nerd baseball cap that he gave me. So yeah, definitely Andrew from the industry. And from outside of the industry, I don't know, maybe somebody... Well, I'll tell you what, Sherry from Kelly's Heroes.
Okay.
Because she gets what we do.
Yeah.
But she's so interesting.
Yeah. I've seen her a couple of times talking at events and so she's brilliant to talk, to listen to, and obviously experiences as well with Kelly's Heroes is really interesting to hear about. Well, thank you very much for that. We'll cut from the hard topics and move on to something a bit more lighter. So I'm going to give you just fire off some quick fire questions and don't want you to think about it. I want to give you the first thing that comes into your head. So we'll start off with something easy. Do you prefer talking over email or over the phone?
Phone.
What was the first gig you ever attended?
I went to Leo Sayer.
Oh, okay. And was it good? Was it worth going to?
It was, yes.
Oh, okay. What would be your go-to karaoke song?
I Am What I Am.
Nice. What's your favourite place to visit?
Edinburgh or Belfast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Who would play you in a movie about your life?
Princess Fiona.
Nice.
Green.
Yeah, nice. When do you feel you're like in terms of in a day? When do you feel most in the zone? Are you a night owl? Are you a morning person?
I'm a lark. I love it. Mostly before I come to work in the morning, I've done some form of, I'll either run or do a yoga or something. So yeah, I'm a definite lark.
Okay.
And I like to get in and I like to do the bulk of my thought processes and stuff in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I'm really happy to do like the admin grungy bits in the afternoon.
Oh, okay. And in 5 years' time, what do you see yourself doing? What do you reckon you'll be doing, both on a professional basis and a personal basis? Do you think you'll still be head pig, running Balls2 Marketing, or where do you see yourself going in 5 years' time?
That's a really difficult one. So I imagine that I will still definitely be in the industry, but in lesser role than I am now.
Be a consultant for...
A consultant pig.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
And just the last one on the industry itself. In 1 year's time, or if we sat here in 1 year's time and said, how do you think the industry will be looking? Do you think it will be in a better position, a worse position, or do you think it'll be roughly the same?
I think it's going to be a rough year for some companies, but I do believe that there's an absolute willingness to professionalise the industry, and I think we will see in 2024 we will see leaps and strides in the professionalisation of the industry, and I think that will be a really big thing.
Okay. Well, thank you very much to Sarah for joining us today, and remember to head to the PiGs website at www.peopleinglazing.co.uk for all your latest news, and you also have the ability to sign up to our new newsletter that will be coming out on a bi-weekly basis. So I hope you'll be able to join us next time, but for me, see you later.